of our games will be Forsaken L. So it's basically a first-person survival game, and you can collect items including like weapons and like fruits. So we have like 3 parameters. One is hunger, the other is health, and the last one is stamina. So the purpose of the game is to like survive 10 minutes. But if you are defeated like within 10 minutes, you will actually get a message saying that you wake up from these dreams. So the narrative background of this game is the player. So you are actually a retired military person, and you had nightmares every night of kind of returning to the battlefield, but in the form of an island. So you try to like survive from there. Because we haven't finished the game, but for the more like finished products, we want to include not only like weapons, fruits, but also like memory items that gives more like narrative backgrounds. Like you gather family photos, and if you collect that items, it triggers an environmental like change, like maybe windy or rainy.
So our game is Beat 'em or Get Yeeted, and it's kind of a combination of rage room and parkour game. So you go around and whack things with a bat to destroy them, and you try and rack up a combo and keep your combo up with the number of items you destroy, or else your combo will dwindle down to 0 and you'll get tossed up to the top of the scene, the game area, if you will. The idea behind it, the narrative premise, is that it's complicated and kind of nonsensical, but that's the point. There's a hive mind thing, and they have trapped you in their tower due to your poor anger management skills. They aren't necessarily trying to help your anger management as much as they are trying to contain your pure chaos in a way they find humane, which to them often means fueling your chaos rather than controlling it. Their hope is that your anger will eventually burn out so they can recruit you into the hive mind. So, like I said, our game is essentially a rage room with parkour elements where the goal is to break as much stuff as possible. And lest I forget, this experience will be heightened by philosophical discussions about breaking stuff in the background. They are not necessarily about philosophy as much as they are random conversations done in a slightly soothing tone of voice.
Our game is called Drew Force 1. You play it by flying this little plane around a generated planet, looking for radar devices on the ground to destroy. There's between 5 and 10 radar jammers on the planet, depending on the difficulty. And there's enemy spaceships coming down, landing on the ground, and spawning mines and cannons trying to shoot you out of the sky. The objective of the game is to destroy all of the radar jammers before the alien enemies shoot you out of the sky.
The name of our game is The Great Escape. In the 3 rooms, you need to find like 6 number. And type it in the keypad, and you will go out and win the game.
So the name of our game is Extraction. It is a 3D first-person single-player shooter, and the idea was kind of make a movement shooter with a little bit of platforming elements. The brief story overline of the game is you going into a mine shaft, and your goal is to defeat enemies and to get as much gold as possible and to extract with that gold, hence the name Extraction. So the mechanics of this game, you primarily shoot with a revolver, which you have to reload every 6 shots. And then for movement, you have your basic jumping, and to make things interesting, we've added a grappling hook that you can use as much as you like to be able to get around the enemies in the terrain as much as you like. And then the other last thing that we have to spice things up is we've got a variety of power-ups you can pick up on the ground that will give you temporary boosts to your health or different stats.
So our game is the Maledict. It's sort of like, I guess adventure game would be the closest genre I can think of. Adventure horror type game, where you basically collect clues throughout a few levels. It's a very short game, but it's mostly about like a detective, solve these murders that are occurring, and to like figure out who's the killer, and so collect the clues, go through the levels, and then reach the end.
Our game is Elementalz with a Z. You're walking around this magical world where you use these elemental cards to defeat elemental enemies. So with the elements, it lends a natural way of countering each other. So a fire monster gets countered by water cards, a water monster can be countered by electricity, and things like that. And so we have a lot of different bosses going on in our game world, and you just defeat all the monsters. You gotta go around, and there's about 5 of them. There's the Thunderbird is the lightning one, Lava Rock is in the volcano, the ice spiders in the icy mountains, and then we have the beetle who's sitting in the forest, and then one other boss in the island over here by the water, who's a little frog monster. All these monsters feature different shader graphs and lighting effects and different kinds of combat AIs that will make their fights a little different. The giant Thunderbird will shoot lightning down. The ice monster will shoot ice blocks and make big stomps on the player. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun using all kinds of different tools within here. The Unity terrain editor is one thing, the shader graphs, and then of course creating state machines for AI systems.
The name of our 3D game is Personal Growth. This game is very simple mechanically. It's just a walk around, listen to dialogue, try and piece together clues. Our main focus of this game was art and narrative, so we didn't do as many mechanics as our 2D game. The objective is to finally grow a plant, because you're trying to make the planet habitable, and find the missing researcher who was on the planet before you.